Welcome to Excel Simplified. Today I'm going to show you how to use the Text to Columns tool that's built into Excel. The Text to Columns tool is helpful when we have two pieces or more of data consolidated into one column, but we want to break them apart again so that they're separated. So here in column A we have the employee name and the office that they work at, but we want to break this into two columns of data instead of just one. So let's start by selecting column A. And now we'll go to the Data tab and click the Text to Columns button. So here we have two choices, delimited and fixed width. Let's go ahead and click Next and leave delimited, which is defaulted in for us, as selected. And so here we can see the different types of characters that Excel has for us to use as delimiters for where our columns will start and stop. It has the built-in most common choices of tab, semicolon, comma, space, and then we also have other. And other is what we're going to use today. So in our case, we have the employee name and the office location that are separated by an @ symbol. So we're going to check other, and then we're going to type the @ symbol in the box to the side. And so now we can see a preview of how Excel is going to break our data up into columns. So let's go ahead and click Next. And we see we have some choices here at the top about how to format our data or even exclude specific columns. For instance, if we didn't want to include the office location in our new data set, we could go ahead and select it and then click Do Not Import Column. But we want to keep it, so we'll go ahead and set that back to General, and we'll click Finish. And so now we can see that our employee name and the office location has been broken up into two separate columns. Now, one unfortunate thing about the way this data is broken up is that we have an extra space in front of the city and state. However, we can use a trim formula to remove this, and we also will show some advanced ways to remove those and prevent this from happening in the future, but I'll put a link in to the trim formula for now. Now we move on to our second example. Now in this example, we have the employee number, the employee name, and the primary office they work at all jammed into column A. And then we also see here we have some garbage data in columns B and C, because I'm very creative and that's what we're just going to call it. But the reason we have this data in columns B and C is I just want to show you what happens when we break data up and it overwrites existing data. Because if we go back to our first example, we see here that our end result is to have data in column A, which is where we already had data, but we also have data in column B. And so we can guess that when we break up the data in column A into three columns, that it's going to overwrite the data in columns B and C unless we move it to safety now. Otherwise, Excel will basically require us to cancel midway if we don't want to overwrite columns B and C. So we would have to cancel, move the data, and then start all over. But we're just going to let Excel eat this data, basically. So we're going to go ahead and select column A. And again, on the Data tab, we'll click the Text to Columns button. And again, Excel tries to guess for us, and so it's picked fixed width here for us in this case, which is correct. So let's go ahead and click Next. And this time around, we have Excel basically counting off the number of characters in all of our cells. And so here we see that between characters 15 and 16, we have the break that Excel is recommending between employee number and employee name, which is exactly where we actually want it. If we didn't like where these columns are being broken up at, we can move them by moving our mouse over the existing lines, clicking with left mouse button and dragging, and then releasing. Or we can click to add new lines, and then we can double click to remove existing lines. So let's go ahead and click Next. And in this case, let's go ahead and format our employee number as text. That way, if we were to have any leading zeros, since this is a number, we will preserve all 7 characters of the employee number. Now let's go ahead and click Finish. And so this is the warning that I was telling you about. Excel is saying there's already data here, meaning columns B and C. Do you want to replace it? If we hit cancel, Excel will not break our employee number, name, and office apart, and it will leave the data as we started out. If we click OK, it's going to overwrite columns B and C. So it's not important data to us. We're going to go ahead and let Excel delete that data. And now we have our 3 columns with the employee name, the employee number, and the office that they work at. There is one other way that we can save the data in columns B and C that doesn't involve moving them before we start using the Text to Columns tool. and that is by, on the last screen of the Text to Columns tool, we are going to change the destination location. So the first blank column that we have is column D, so we're going to change the destination from A1 to D1. And now we can see that we have 3 columns of data starting with D1, and we also have our original consolidated column of data in column A. I hope you found this helpful. Subscribe and comment down below if there are other topics you'd like to see me cover. Have a great day.